First of all is you have to locate where the spare tire is. This is a typical small car. It's a Honda Civic, normally located in the trunk. First of all, you have to get all the junk out of the trunk. It only took me about 15 minutes to get all the stuff out of here. Kind of fun. And then there is some kind of a little lift here, a little cardboard lift, and it will go up, and you usually have to hold it up with your hand. I'm going to put a strap on it just so I don't have to hold it. So hang on a second, I'll do that. And with that open, you will normally, hopefully, see your spare tire and all the tools. This depends, of course, greatly on the manufacturer, how they put things together to make it easy or hard. In this particular one, it comes out in a big chunk. It's got a holder that holds the whole thing. And the holder consists of a wrench to take the lug bolts off, and a jack, obviously to lift the car, and a handle for the jack. And it looks like there's a space here for additional tools. Not really sure what all these two spaces would be, but you could use your tire gauge, might go in here, for example, and some of the other extra tools that you like. And then back over to the car. There's usually some way that they hold the tire down so it doesn't bounce around and make noise. This was just got a little plastic, like a wing nut on it, that you unscrew. You notice the position of the wheel. So when you put it back together, you get it in the right way. Unscrew that. Set that out to the side. And the wheel should come out. They're not that heavy on the small cars. Big trucks, of course, different story. And flip it over, and that's where you have the tag on it talking about tire pressure and the fact you shouldn't run this thing too far. It's usually 50 miles. Take a look and see what this one says. And then, of course, there's going to be some extra tools that we suggest other than this. Some of the extras that you might want to throw in there. A set of gloves. You never know where you're going to be, how dirty it's going to be. This painter's outfit here, coveralls, you can get those in a throwaway pretty inexpensively at a hardware store. You might have really nice clothes on, and you can really do some damage to nice clothes changing a tire. A piece of 2x6, if you're in soft ground, can go underneath the jack to give a better bite, a safer bite on the jack. Keep the thing from falling over on you, the jack digging in and falling over. Wheel chocks. You might be on a hill. You definitely don't want to jack this thing up and have it rolling on you. So these kinds of things are great to have. Maybe even something to kneel on. Some folded up cardboard or an old piece of carpet, something like that. You never know what'll come in handy. There's your wheel chocks, obviously on the tire that is inflated. One in front, one behind to keep it from either rolling forward or back. The biggest danger here is that it rolls off the jack and pins your hand or your leg or knee or something underneath the car and does you damage. So having those wheel chocks are not that expensive. You can use them as you need them in working in your garage or in front of your house, and you just keep them in the trunk of the car so they're available. Look for the reinforced spot underneath the edge, on the crimp weld underneath the edge. Sometimes it's on the jack. There's a little drawing on this jack where to look, or you look in the owner's manual. Put your jack underneath there, put your piece of wood to help support the jack in case you're in soft area. Take your jack handle, this particular one goes in like that, and then you roll it over like that. You can usually raise these jacks up with your finger until you get contact, so you can set everything up. Want to be right there. Throw it with your fingers. And all you do is just keep going until you get the going until you get the wheel, the flat tire, completely off the ground. Remember, it's flat, so you need to get it even a little higher than just off the ground, because the new tire's got air in it, it'll be bigger. And you just keep cranking on it till you get to where you want to go. Many cars have wheel locks. They are a special lock and key that is different than the rest, and you need a special key to be able to get them off. You need to locate this and know where it is before you have to get out there in the middle of the night and do it. They come usually hooked into the spare, underneath where the spare tire is, but most people end up putting them in the glove box or in the center console. And that little guy should go directly on here and give him a turn until he locks into place. And then your lug wrench goes on top of that, like that. So you can get that one off. And then, of course, when you're done, you take that off and make sure you know where it is, and go ahead and loosen all the rest up. Now remember, on this car, the torque is someplace between 80 and 100 pounds. This is a 5 lug, so it could be 100 pounds. You have to go look it up and find out. And that means that this thing is about a foot long, not quite. So if that's 100 pounds, you have to push down on here with 100 pounds. So one of the things you might use is your foot. Don't take this thing, the lug wrench, and put it on like this, so that you have to pull up on the wrench in order to get that off. You make it so that when you push down on it, it'll come off, and you can take your foot, lay on top of it, and just put your weight on it. So even as long as you weigh 100 pounds, you'll be okay, or more. If you weigh less than 100 pounds, you may have trouble. So take all of your lug nuts off. Do that before the flat tire is lifted off the ground, because this tire, depending on which wheel it's on, may rotate when you lift it up. The car should be in park with the parking brake on, but the wheel may still rotate. So to break them loose, which you're going to have to put some torque on it to do that, before you jack it all the way up and the tire comes off the ground, go ahead and loosen them before you go full height. Okay, last nut off. Pull the flat tire off, roll her back, grab your spare that's underneath the car, exchange the two so that you still have a safety of the tire underneath there, just in case it goes down. Spare over. Now, if this thing is real low on pressure, you should check the pressure before you put it on. It's got to be at least 40 pounds or so of pressure, or it's going to run on the rim. which means you should check this thing every once in a while. It's in the trunk, because when you go to need it, it may not have pressure in it, and what do you do then? Call AAA. If you don't have AAA, you're in trouble. Put your lug nuts back on. Wiggle the tire around when you put the piece on the top, on the bottom, to center everything. Make sure that everything's all centered. Run them down finger tight. Now this particular wheel is on the drive axle and the vehicle is in park, so it won't move. If it does move, then you're going to have to let it down again so you can tighten them. So you put them on hand tight. Cinch them up just a little bit. Notice I'm not really all that concerned about putting a lot of torque on them. Let the tire down and till it touches, until you get some friction on it, and then you can go ahead and do your final torque. Remember that this is somewhere between 80 and 100 pounds, and this is only 1 foot long. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you can put all your weight out on the end. You can stand on this thing and it'll torque it to the right amount. If you're 200 pounds like me, then you have to guess about what half your weight is. In the star pattern, start tightening. Usually do it in a two-step type procedure where you tighten everything a little bit, and then you go after your final tight. Go ahead and lean on it. Star pattern. Every other one you cross the center of the wheel and tighten. Let the jack down. Put your tire and your jack and everything in the trunk, and driving at a slow speed. These are no more than 50 miles an hour if they're fully inflated, and no more than 50 miles. There's temporary. Go ahead and take it to the shop and get it fixed right away. You don't want to be driving this thing on the freeway at high speed. It could come apart easily. And also remember, a lot of these sit in the back there forever, 10, 12, 14, 18 years, and never get used, and the rubber will start to deteriorate. So